Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't understand about men. We might not always come out and say it, but the truth is respect is the number one thing that fuels us. You can tell a man you love him all day long, and yeah, that feels good, but if you don't respect him, those words don't carry any weight. Respect is the language men hear the loudest. You want to know how to make love to a man? Start with respect. That's where everything begins. See, women often want to feel cherished, adored, and secure. That's natural, that's in your DNA. But for men, what speaks to us is honor. We want to know that our efforts are seen and that who we are matters to the woman we've chosen. A man could be out there working 2 jobs, hustling, grinding, trying to make life better for his family, and if he comes home and feels like nobody appreciates it, like his woman don't even notice, that cuts deep. It makes him feel small. But when a woman looks at him and says, "Baby, I see you. I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a great job." That's like oxygen to a man. That's love to us. Let me break it down even further. Respect is not just about the words you say. It's about how you treat him in every situation. It's in the tone of your voice when you talk to him. It's in the way you bring him up in front of other people. Because let me tell you something, a man listens carefully to how his woman describes him. When he's not in the room, if you build him up, he walks taller. If you tear him down, even as a joke, that sits with him longer than you think. You might laugh and think it's just a little playfulness, but to a man, the woman he loves has more power over him than anybody else. When you belittle a man even slightly, you don't realize how much damage that can do. Now, don't get me wrong, men aren't fragile creatures. We take blows from the world every single day. We deal with bosses, bills, setbacks, stress, disappointments, you name it. We're built to handle that. But the one place a man does not want to fight for respect is in his own home. The world can beat him down, but his home is supposed to lift him up. His woman is supposed to be his safe place. And when she respects him, even in the small ways, that man will go to war for her. He'll climb mountains, he'll swim oceans, he'll do whatever it takes to make her happy. Because respect to us is like fuel in the tank. Without it, we stall. With it, we fly. Now let's talk about how respect shows up in love making. See, when a man feels respected, he opens up. He gives more of himself. He's not just coming to you for physical pleasure. He's coming to you for connection. He feels safe enough to be vulnerable with you. And that's a powerful thing because men don't hand over vulnerability easily. That's not in our nature. But when respect is there, we let our guard down. And when a man lets his guard down, when he truly feels like you honor him, that's when intimacy reaches another level. That's when it stops being just about the body and starts being about the soul. Respect also shows up in the way you handle disagreements. Listen, no relationship is perfect. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have moments where you don't see eye to eye. But in those moments, respect is what keeps things from turning destructive. You can disagree with a man, you can challenge him, but the way you do it makes all the difference. If you attack his character, if you strip him of his dignity in the middle of an argument, that sticks. It makes him feel unloved, unwanted, unworthy. But if you can stand your ground with grace, if you can still let him know you value him even when you don't agree with him, that keeps the foundation strong. That lets him know she may not be happy with me right now, but she still respects me. And that right there, that's love making outside the bedroom. Let me give you an example. Let's say your man makes a decision you don't agree with. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's about the kids. Maybe it's something small like what restaurant y'all going to. If you say, "You're so stupid, why would you do that?" You've just hit him in the core. That's not just an argument anymore. That's disrespect. But if you say, "Baby, I hear you, but I think there's another way we can look at this," that's still disagreement, but it's not disrespect. And a man can hear that. He can receive that without shutting down because you've protected his dignity. That's what men crave, dignity. Respect is also in how you support him in front of others. Let's say you're at a family gather or you're out with friends. A man loves when his woman uplifts him in front of other people. You don't have to brag, but just little things like, "He's been working so hard lately. I'm so proud of him." You think that's small. To a man, that's everything. That's love. That makes him want to give you more because he knows his efforts are not just noticed, they're honored. And let me tell you, when a man feels respected, you don't even have to ask for his love. He gives it freely. He gives it abundantly. He'll protect you, provide for you, cherish you, because you've tapped into the deepest need he has. Men don't run around saying, I just want somebody to respect me. We don't have conversations like that with our boys. But I promise you, that's what's written in every man's heart. And the woman who figures that out has unlocked the key to his soul. Now don't confuse respect with submission. That's where people get it wrong. Respect does not mean you don't have a voice. It does not mean you shrink yourself or let him walk all over you. Respect means you recognize his value as a man, you acknowledge his role in your life, and you treat him with the same honor you want in return. Because here's the truth, when a man feels respected, he naturally gives respect back. When he feels honored, he naturally honors you. That's the reciprocity of love. I'll even take it a step further. You want to make love to a man in a way he will never forget. Respect his grind. Respect his effort even when it's not perfect. Men are wired to want to provide and protect. That's in our DNA. So when a man is trying, even if he hasn't hit the mark yet, let him know you see the effort. Say, I know it's not easy, but I see how hard you're working. That fuels him to keep going. That makes him want to push harder, not just for himself, but for you. That's intimacy right there. Because now he's not just making love with his body. He's making love with his ambition, his drive, his willpower, all because you respected what he brings to the table. And let me say this too, sometimes respect looks like patience. Men don't always move at the pace women want us to. Sometimes we're slower to open up emotionally. Sometimes we take longer to make decisions. And I know that can frustrate you. But when you're patient, when you give him space to grow without tearing him down in the process, that's respect. That tells him she believes in me enough to wait on me to get it right. And I promise you that kind of respect makes a man move mountains. So, ladies, if you want to know how to make love to a man, start here. Before anything physical, before anything romantic, before the roses, before the candlelight dinners, it begins with respect. That's the foundation. That's the heartbeat of a man. You respect him, you honor him, you let him know he matters, and he will give you a love that will move you to your core. Because for a man, respect is not just love. It is the greatest form of love. Let me tell you something that most men won't ever come out and say, but I'll say it for them. Men crave affection just as much as women do. See, people often assume that men only want intimacy in one form, that all we care about is sex. But that's not true. What a lot of men are really starved for is tenderness, everyday affection that shows them they're wanted. They're appreciated, they're desired, not just in the bedroom, but in the small, simple moments of life. You want to know how to make love to a man? You do it by reaching him outside those four walls. You do it by showing affection in ways that speak to his heart, not just his body. Here's the thing, men are taught from an early age to be tough, to hold it together, to hide emotions, to always be strong. And because of that, a lot of men go through life without anybody really pouring softness into them. The world demands so much from us, but it doesn't give much back in return. That's why when a man finally gets with a woman who gives him affection, pure, genuine affection, it feels like water in the desert. That's love in its purest form. See, making love doesn't start when you hit the bedroom. It starts with how you look at him when he walks through the door. It's in that hug you give him before he leaves for work in the morning. It's in that little touch on the arm when you're sitting together on the couch. Those moments mean everything to a man because they remind him he's not just a provider, not just a protector. He's also someone you want, someone you see as valuable just for being him. Let me break it down even more. Men want to be desired. Yes, we want respect, but we also want to feel like our woman actually wants us, that she enjoys being close to us, that she looks at us like we're still that guy who makes her smile. That's what affection does. It tells a man, you still got it. You still matter. I still choose you every single day. When you reach over and hold his hand while you're walking together, when you sit close enough to let your shoulders touch, when you kiss him out of nowhere just because you felt like it, those things say, I love you, I see you, I want you. That's how you make love to a man's spirit. Now, let me tell you something powerful. Affection builds security. A man who feels affection doesn't question his place in your life. He doesn't wonder if you're growing distant. He doesn't feel like he has to fight for your attention. He knows he's loved because you show it in ways that don't need words. Affection is proof. And when a man has that security, it changes everything. He becomes more open, more gentle, more giving. Because when you feed a man's heart with affection, he pours it right back into you. Think about it this way, the little things add up. You don't have to plan grand gestures every day. It can be as simple as making his favorite meal and putting your hand on his back while he's at the table. It can be lying next to him and rubbing his head while he's falling asleep. It can be shooting him a text during the day just to say, thinking about you. Those things don't take much time, but they have a big impact. They remind him he's important. They remind him he's loved. And let me tell you something else. Men may act like they don't need it, but deep down they love being babied every now and then. I know that word sounds funny, but it's true. You rub his shoulders after a long day. You straighten his tie before he heads out. You give him that forehead kiss. You surprise him with a little back rub. Those moments make a man melt. Because here's the truth, men may look big and strong on the outside, but inside, we still have that little boy who wants to be cared for. And when our woman gives us that kind of affection, it touches the deepest part of us. Here's something else you gotta understand. Affection outside the bedroom makes the bedroom 10 times better. Why? Because it builds anticipation, it builds emotional connection, it builds trust. A man who feels loved and touched throughout the day is already in a mindset of intimacy. By the time you get behind closed doors, you're not just connecting physically, you're connecting emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That's what makes love making powerful. It's not about the act alone, it's about the build-up, the tenderness, the affection that carries over into everything. Now, I know some women might say, well, Steve, I don't want to give affection all the time if he's not giving it back. And I hear you. But let me tell you something. Most men don't even realize how much they need affection until they experience it. You show it consistently, he'll start to mirror it. He'll start giving it back because affection is contagious. When you pour into a man in that way, he feels it so deeply that it naturally flows back to you. Another part of affection is in how you communicate. The way you speak to a man is a form of affection. When you encourage him, when you build him up with your words, when you let him know you believe in him, that's affection too. That's love in action. Men thrive on affirmation. It makes us feel strong. It makes us feel seen. It makes us feel like we're doing something right. So don't hold back those words. Tell him when he looks good. Tell him when he did something you appreciated. Tell him when you're proud of him. Those words go straight to a man's soul. And here's the thing. Affection doesn't always have to be soft and sweet. Sometimes affection is playful. Joke with him, laugh with him, flirt with him. That playful energy keeps the relationship alive. It reminds him that you're not just partners in the serious stuff. You're also friends, companions, lovers who enjoy each other's company. That's affection too. A lot of women think men only want grand intimacy at night, but the truth is, men are craving micro moments of connection all day long. If you give him a kiss before he heads out, text him a little something funny during the day, sit next to him, and let your leg touch his while you're watching TV, that man is going to feel like the luckiest man alive, because those small gestures tell him he's loved without you even having to say it. And let me tell you something, when you give affection outside the bedroom, you're not just making love to a man, you're healing him. A lot of men walk around with scars from childhood, from past relationships, from the pressures of life. Affection heals those wounds. It tells a man, you're safe with me, you're valued here. You don't have to be strong every second of the day. And that kind of healing is powerful. That's the kind of love that lasts. So when we talk about how to make love to a man, don't limit yourself to what happens between the sheets. Think about the whole picture. Think about how you make him feel during the day, how you touch him when nobody's looking, how you show him that your desire for him is bigger than just moments of passion. When you do that, you're not just making love to his body, you're making love to his soul. And that's what every man truly wants, even if he doesn't say it out loud. Let me tell you something about men that a lot of people don't talk about. A man's dreams are tied directly to his sense of purpose. See, every man walking this earth wants to feel like his life means something. He wants to know that he's building, that he's achieving, that he's leaving some kind of mark. It doesn't matter if he's trying to start a business, chase a promotion, write a book, build a house, or just be the best father he can be. Every man has a dream tucked inside of him. But here's the thing, chasing a dream is heavy. It comes with setbacks, doubts, and days where nothing feels possible. And in those moments, the single most powerful thing a woman can do for her man is encourage his dreams. Encouragement is love in action. When you tell a man, I believe in you, it hits him deeper than you'll ever know. Because the truth is most men don't hear that enough. We hear when we mess up. We hear when we fall short. We hear when people doubt us. But genuine encouragement, that's rare. And when it comes from the woman we love, it's priceless. You want to know how to make love to a man beyond the physical? Speak life into his dreams. Let him know you see his potential even when he doesn't see it himself. That's intimacy at its highest level. A man may put on a strong face, but I'll let you in on a little secret. We all wrestle with insecurity. We all have moments where we wonder if we're good enough, if we're capable, if we've got what it takes. And when a man is standing on shaky ground like that, his woman's voice can be the very thing that steadies him. If you tell him, I know you can do this, I trust you, it lights a fire in him. That kind of faith makes him push harder, climb higher, fight longer. Because now he's not just chasing the dream for himself, he's chasing it because you believed in him. Think about this. A man could be out there trying to start a business, and maybe it's slow at first. Maybe he's frustrated because the money's not coming in yet. Maybe he's questioning if it was even worth it. Then you step in and say, I see the work you're putting in, and I'm proud of you. That one sentence can keep him from giving up. That's how powerful encouragement is. It's not about fixing his problems or giving him all the answers. It's about reminding him that he has what it takes to figure it out. And when a man hears that from his woman, it feels like fuel in his tank. Let me make this clear. Encouragement doesn't mean blind support. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about being honest while still being uplifting. If he's chasing something and stumbling, don't tear him down. Don't say, this is stupid, you'll never make it, because that kills a man's spirit. Instead, say, okay, it's not working the way you want it to yet, but I know you're smart enough to figure out another way. See the difference? You're still acknowledging reality, but you're wrapping it in belief. That's encouragement. Here's another thing. When you encourage a man's dreams, you're not just helping him, you're investing in your relationship. Because when a man feels like his woman believes in him, it changes the way he loves her. He feels supported. He feels respected. He feels like he's not in the fight alone. And in return, he'll give you everything he's got. He'll love harder. He'll provide better. He'll protect more fiercely. Because to him, you're not just his partner. You're his teammate, his cheerleader, his backbone. And a man who has that kind of woman will move mountains to make sure she's happy. Now let's talk about how encouragement connects to intimacy. See, when you believe in his dreams, you're not just lifting his mind, you're touching his heart. And when a man feels that deep emotional connection, it makes intimacy richer. Because now, when he comes to you, he's not just connecting with your body. He's connecting with the woman who makes him feel alive, the woman who fuels his ambition, the woman who whispers to him, you can do this. That kind of bond makes everything deeper. Encouragement also shows up in the little ways. You don't always have to give big speeches. Sometimes it's just a look, a nod, a smile. Sometimes it's writing a quick note that says, I'm proud of you. Sometimes it's reminding him of how far he's come when he feels like he hasn't gone far enough. Those little gestures of belief stay with a man. He might not always say it, but he holds on to those moments like treasures. And let me tell you, this encouragement doesn't just help him in the good times. It's even more powerful in the hard times. When life knocks him down, when his dream feels out of reach, when he's sitting there thinking about quitting, that's when your encouragement matters most. Because if the woman he loves says, you got this, it can pull him out of the pit. It can remind him of the man he's meant to be. Sometimes all it takes is one voice of belief to drown out 1,000 voices of doubt. And that voice, more than anyone else's, needs to be yours. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're saying, Steve, what if he has a dream that's too big? What if it feels unrealistic? What if it looks like it'll never happen? And that's fair. But let me ask you this. What's the harm in believing in him? Even if he doesn't reach the dream exactly the way he pictured it, your encouragement will push him further than he would have gone without it. Maybe he doesn't build the $1 million company, But he learns skills, he builds confidence, he grows into a better version of himself, all because you believed in him along the way. And that growth benefits not just him, but both of you. Men are natural dreamers. We're wired to want more, to build, to conquer, to achieve. But dreams without encouragement often fade. They get buried under fear, responsibility, and self-doubt. When you encourage his dreams, you're giving him permission to keep chasing, to keep striving, to keep believing in himself. And when he knows you're in his corner, he doesn't just chase those dreams. He chases them with fire. Let me tell you, from a man's perspective, we never forget the woman who believed in us when we didn't even believe in ourselves. That stays with us forever. A man could be out there winning awards, earning money, reaching heights he never imagined. But in the back of his mind, he remembers, she was there when I had nothing. She was the one telling me I could do it when I was ready to quit. That kind of loyalty, that kind of encouragement, that's love that lasts a lifetime. So when you think about making love to a man, don't limit it to the physical. Think about how you can make love to his spirit. Think about how your words can breathe life into his dreams. Think about how your belief can keep him going when nothing else can. Because that right there is intimacy at the deepest level. It's connection that goes beyond the surface. And it's what every man longs for, whether he admits it or not. Ladies, let me let you in on something most men will never tell you out loud. Deep down, every man wants a place where he can take off the armor. We walk through life carrying heavy loads, expectations, responsibilities, pressures, the need to always be strong. And sometimes it feels like we can't even breathe. But the one thing every man longs for is emotional safety. He wants to know that with his woman, he can be real, he can be vulnerable, he can let down his guard and not be judged, laughed at, or made to feel weak. When you create that kind of environment for a man, when you give him that level of safety, you're not just making love to him physically, you're making love to his soul. See, society teaches men from the time we're little boys to man up. Don't cry, don't show fear, don't talk about your emotions. We grow up learning how to hide what we feel because the world punishes men who appear too soft, and we carry that into adulthood. That's why so many men bottle things up, why so many of us don't share what's really going on inside. It's not because we don't have feelings. It's because we don't always trust that it's safe to show them. But when a woman comes along who creates a space where a man can finally exhale, that's powerful. That's life-changing. Let me tell you how this looks. Emotional safety is when a man can come home after a hard day and not have to pretend. It's when he can say, "Baby, I'm tired," and not feel like he's failing. It's when he can talk about his fears, his worries, his insecurities, and you don't throw them back in his face later. It's when you listen without judging, when you allow him to be human instead of expecting him to be some unshakable rock 24/7. That's emotional safety. That's love at the deepest level. Now, you may be thinking, but Steve, men don't open up like that. And you're right. Most men won't, at least not right away. But here's the key: they will if they trust you. They will if you show them consistently that your love is a safe place. And once they feel that, they will reveal parts of themselves nobody else has ever seen. That's when intimacy goes to another level. Because when a man shares his inner world with you, he's giving you a piece of himself that he doesn't hand out freely. That's sacred. That's love. Here's what a lot of women don't realize. When a man feels emotionally unsafe, he shuts down. He stops sharing. He withdraws. He might still be there physically, but emotionally, he's gone. And once that happens, it's hard to rebuild. That's why creating safety is so important. Because when he knows he can be himself with you, when he knows you won't mock him, belittle him, or use his vulnerability against him, he invests even more into the relationship. He gives you his trust, his loyalty, his devotion. Now let's talk about how this connects to love making. When a man feels emotionally safe, he shows up differently in intimacy. He's not just going through the motions. He's present. He's connected. He's giving you all of him. Because safety allows a man to let down his walls. And when those walls come down, the intimacy gets deeper. It becomes more than physical, it becomes spiritual. You're not just touching his body, you're touching his soul. Creating emotional safety doesn't mean you let a man get away with anything. It doesn't mean you never challenge him. It means you approach him with understanding, with compassion, with the intention of building him up instead of tearing him down. For example, if your man admits he's scared about something, maybe money, maybe work, maybe not feeling good enough, your response matters. If you say, wow, you're supposed to be the man and you're scared, that shuts him down. He'll never bring it up again. But if you say, I understand, I'm here with you, we'll figure this out together, that builds safety. That makes him feel like he's not carrying the load alone. And that, ladies, makes him love you on a whole different level. Another piece of emotional safety is how you handle his mistakes. Every man is going to fall short sometimes. He's going to mess up. He's going to make decisions that don't work out. In those moments, does he feel like you're going to throw it in his face? Or does he feel like you're going to stand beside him while he gets back up? That makes all the difference, because men don't need a woman to remind them of their failures. We already beat ourselves up enough. What we need is a woman who says, yeah, you stumbled, but you're still my man and I still believe in you. That's safety. That's love. Let me give you another example. Sometimes men express emotions differently. Maybe he's not going to sit down and pour his heart out for 2 hours. Maybe his way of showing he's struggling is by being quiet, by withdrawing, by not having the words. Emotional safety means you don't pressure him, you don't nag, you don't make him feel wrong for processing differently. Instead, you give him space while letting him know you're there when he's ready. That's safety too, because it says, you don't have to perform for me. You don't have to be perfect. You can just be you. Ladies, when you create this kind of environment, you unlock something in a man that most people will never see. You unlock his tenderness. You unlock his softness. You unlock the part of him that wants to share, to connect, to give. And once you do that, he's yours in a way that goes beyond anything physical, because men don't give their hearts to just anybody. We might give our time, our money, even our bodies, but our hearts, our raw emotions, our deepest fears and dreams, we only give that to a woman we trust, a woman who makes us feel safe. This is why I always say the strongest relationships are built not just on attraction, not just on respect, but on emotional safety. Because attraction might bring you together, respect might hold you for a while, but safety is what makes love last. Safety is what makes a man look at his woman and say, she's my home. And when a man feels at home with you, when he feels like you're the one place he can be himself without fear, that's when he'll love you with everything he's got. So if you want to know how to make love to a man, don't just think about the bedroom. Think about how you make him feel when life gets heavy. Think about how you respond when he's weak, when he's scared, when he's not at his best. Because those are the moments that matter most. That's when love is proven. And that's when a man decides if you're just somebody